Hello action figure fans, this is HammerTron here with a new action figure review for you. This goes up on a Monday, so this is Military Monday. This time I am reviewing the Valaverse Action Force Condor action figure. This is not the first version, this is the most recent version released, the Special Deployment Series, and it's a re-release of Condor. So it was released in 2023. I ordered it through an online store, and here it is. Comes in a very nice window box. I like how the window wraps around the top. That lets in more light so that we can look at the action figure clearly. We see the accessories around it. Nice box. There's the top. Here is the bottom with some manufacturing information. Here is one side. A nice picture of Condor. And it says Condor SDS-07. That is the Special Deployment Series. This is the 7th figure in that series. Here is the other side where it has the Action Force logo. And here is the back. A nice picture of the action figure. A file card. Some points for some mail-aways. And we're suggested to cut this out, but I'm not going to cut this out. I always keep the boxes for display and storage, but I'll take this out of the box and take a look at the action figure itself. Here is the Action Force Condor action figure, the Special Deployment Series. So the second, maybe the third or fourth version, I'm not sure which version, but not the first one. Let's see, this figure is about 6¼ inches tall, or about 16 centimeters tall. So nicely sized action figure. And very nice looking modern military type action figure, or maybe slightly futuristic. So lots of very nice details on this figure. I think the face sculpt looks pretty good. And he does have hair, so the hair does get in the way putting the helmet on, so we need the masked head to put the helmet on snugly. And here's an extra vest that is put on over the body, so I'm not sure where it's attached, maybe on the sides. Now here we have space for the ammo clips, so they do fit in right in here. So this is how it came in the package. We can just plug these in. Like that. And on the back of this vest, there's a place to put the knife. So we can plug it into the back here. Now the knife was in the plastic tray, so it was not attached to the figure before, so nice weapon storage there. And on this side is the holster for the handgun. So in the package, this handgun was in the holster. There we go. So this is what he looked like in the package. So I'll take this off because we're going to get to articulation a little later. So, nice combat vest. The Great Britain flag, the Union Jack, the Action Force logo, some sort of symbol there. So I hope it doesn't wear off as we're touching the figure and articulating the figure. It might wear off. I hope it doesn't. But nicely sculpted arms. If we look carefully, we can see that there are butterfly joints here. And some sleeves, some skin, his gloves, his gripping hands. Although I've looked carefully at these gripping hands, I don't really see where the hinges would be. But I think there are hinges there, I just haven't actually been able to see it. Down here there's an extra little plastic belt piece. It's a little hard to see, but we can see this extra loop here. So that's part of an extra belt piece under there. And these pieces here are extra pieces that are put on the legs, so they do move around a little bit, but it's pretty tight. Nice knee pads, lots of wrinkles sculpted into the clothes there, wrinkles sculpted into the boots. There's some treads on the bottom of the boots and peg holes in the heels. So lots of details sculpted all over this figure and nicely painted. So let's take a look at the articulation. With the head, I've only tried the human head here, so you can look up that much and look down, turn side to side. So pretty nice. I haven't tried to remove the head yet, but it would probably be a good idea to heat it up with a hairdryer first to make it more pliable. You have butterfly joints here. It's working. And that is working. We can move the arms up. Only about that much. So not quite as much as we'd like. And they go around. Now these arm joints I did not have to heat up. They worked pretty nicely right out of the package, as long as we're gentle. And there's a bicep cut, so that is working. On both sides, very nice. The elbow joints, those are pinless. And if we're gentle, we can bend these. I did not have to heat these up, but I did move very slowly and carefully. I'm hoping that the heat from my fingertips are warming it up enough. It's actually a pretty cold day. So I think we can do about that much, maybe just a little more. There we go. So a little more than 90 degrees. And carefully straighten out the arms. And then the wrists do turn. I have not tried to remove the hands yet, but if we want to remove the hands, it would be a good idea to use a hairdryer just to make sure it's pliable. And I think there is a diaphragm cut up here. We can crunch forward and back. So there's a diaphragm cut. And we can turn at the diaphragm cut. Now, I don't think there is waist articulation. I don't see any waist articulation there. So when we're turning at the diaphragm cut there. At the hips, you can do impressive splits. This is why I took the handgun out, because the gun would get in the way of the articulation. And you can kick forward that much, kick back a little bit, kick forward pretty high there, and kick back a little bit. There's an upper thigh cut here, so that is working. And this side, that is working. Now the knees are incredibly stiff, and I did have to use the hairdryer to heat them up to make them much easier to move. If it's too stiff, it's not a good idea to keep pushing. It's probably a better idea to try to heat it up and see if that'll make it more pliable. So hopefully these are still warm enough because it's actually a pretty cold day. So we can do that much there. So I'm moving pretty slowly here. I don't want to have too much leverage here, so I'm trying to keep my fingers close to where the joint is to make the bend. Yeah, those are pretty stiff knees, so I hope they do not become too loose over time, but if it feels pretty stiff, it's probably a good idea to try to warm it up first before pushing really hard. There we go. Straighten out the knees. Nice and slowly. There we go. And then there's a boot cut here. This one turns a little bit. That's pretty stiff. And there should be a boot cut here, but I have not been able to turn it even after heating up the joint, so it's pretty stuck, and I'm not going to try twisting any harder. So there should be a boot cut there, but it's not working. At the ankles, we can do tippy toes there, and go up that far. And this one has ankle pivot here, so that's pretty nice. Now there should be an ankle pivot here, but so far I have not been able to get it to move even after heating it up. So fortunately it's in a good position, so I can still stand up the figure. So I'm not too upset about that, because I grew up with Star Wars action figures and G.I. Joe action figures way back in the 70s and 80s, and those had far less articulation, so I'm not too worried about all the articulation as long as the figure can stand and as long as it looks nice. Although I would like all the articulation that are included to work properly the first time, but it stands pretty nicely there. Here are the accessories we get with the Condor action figure from Action Force. We have lots of extra hands, like a left gripping hand, or more tightly gripping hand, and a left open hand or holding hand, and we have a left fist here. So all of these are painted, nicely sculpted. They have some paint on them. They have hinges. Right holding hand there, and a right fist, and a right more tightly gripping hand. The more loosely gripping hands are still on the figure. And we have a couple of ammo clips. These two ammo clips were on the vest of the figure in the package. So lots of nice detail. This ammo clip was in the machine gun here, and so it just slides in there. That was in the package like this. So nice extra detail. And I don't know what kind of gun this is, but it's very nicely sculpted and detailed. If we look carefully here, there's a little bit of raised plastic here. So right there, it's not on the other side here. So it looks like it's meant to be a hinge. So in real life, this gun, this part here might hinge over or fold over for storage or transportation. So a lot of extra detail was put into this. Also, the hole at the end of the barrel there for inputting blast effects. So very impressively painted, sculpted, detailed, and stiff. I'm not going to bend it too hard, but stiff, so it's not very pliable, so that's good. We have a handgun that was in the holster on the figure, nicely sculpted. A little hole at the end of the barrel for blast effects. Looks nice. And then we have a little knife, nicely sculpted and painted, so lots of little detail. And we have an extra head, a more masked head for Condor. So it's a nice head. Now this head is very useful because this helmet fits better on this masked head than the head with the hair. So it slides in there and fits much better. And this helmet, kind of a stiff plastic, and it has maybe at least 2 or 3 pieces of plastic put together to make the helmet, because these side pieces don't seem to be part of the helmet. Actually, it'll come off. That's interesting. So I didn't know that was going to happen. So it's just a little detail that we can plug in. Tiny little peg there. I'll get that later. And a set of night vision goggles. There's a hole at the end, so we can plug this in here on the head. So it looks nice. So a lot of very realistic details, and this thing, I didn't know that was going to come off, but it's just a little peg that fits in the hole. So lots of extra detail. So a very highly detailed set of accessories that go with the figure. I totally forgot the Action Force base, the figure stand. So pretty hard plastic and very nice texture here. Has the logo there, and it has 4 pegs here to put the figure on. So we can put the figure in different positions on the peg, maybe different dynamic poses. Although it is a bit stiff. Let's see if I can find a good position here. Takes a little bit of work to find one that'll fit. Now this is new, so maybe it needs to be broken in a little bit, hopefully without breaking. So that's one way. Although I think usually people try to have the base horizontal. There we go, that'll work. And also I put the machine gun in both hands, so the butterfly joints and the bicep cut and twisting the wrist do certainly help in putting this gun in a two-handed pose. It does have trigger fingers, so it does take a little bit of patience to work the machine gun or any of the weapons into the hands and put the trigger finger in the hole there, but it's a very thin piece of plastic, so we want to be careful and just be patient as we work it in, but it should be nice. Now I don't know how many different positions I can get the rifle in. Might be pretty tough to get him to look down the sights, but I think we can do it with some patience and practice. So, looking pretty cool. Although the knees are getting pretty stiff again, but it's a very cold day, so a little difficult to work with. But with some patience and practice, I think we can get some very nice dynamic poses for the Action Force action figures. Here is Condor next to a pair of 4-inch action figures. On the right is an adventurer from an Animal Planet set I reviewed a while ago. On the left is the Fortnite Jonesy action figure by Jazzwares. Here is Condor next to a 6-inch action figure. On the left, the Fortnite Legendary Series Havoc action figure by Jazzwares. And a 7-inch action figure on the right, the Masters of the Universe Masterverse He-Man action figure by Mattel. And I think Havoc works perfectly with Condor. So we could say Havoc is the Firefly character from G.I. Joe. Although I'll just call him Havoc here because that's what he looks more like. Firefly looks a little different. But great pairing of a couple of military style action figures. And the He-Man action figure works well as a giant sized barbarian character that's fighting against Condor. So very nice scale. Works very well with 6 or 7-inch scale action figures. I think this Valaverse Action Force Condor action figure is a really nice action figure. It definitely looks very good. I like the sculpted details and painting on it. So a lot of effort was put into making that. And I did switch the head. I heated up the human head first before pulling it off. So there's the human head, because I don't want to risk breaking it, and it is pretty cold. So I heated it up and I was able to take it off without too much trouble and put in this masked head with the helmet and the night vision goggles on it. So that's pretty nice. We do want to watch out for the side pieces on the helmets because those can come off. What I don't like is having to use the hair dryer to warm it up before bending the joints. I would prefer the action figures to be ready to go right out of the package, but I am willing to use the hair dryer just to make sure that it stays in pretty good shape. There are a couple of problems with the joints. The ankle pivot here didn't work, and the boot cut did not work here. The knees were the tightest joints, and I used a hairdryer to warm them up before moving them, and even then they're still pretty tight. Although tightness is good, I hope they don't become too loose over time, but we will see. So all in all, a pretty nice action figure. It's pretty hard plastic too, harder than most action figures. So I hope it'll last a long time, and I'll get a few more to have a nice modern military display or diorama. Thank you for watching my review video. Remember to like the video, leave a comment, let me know what you think of this action figure, and subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with future reviews. I'll see you next time, action figure fans.